Hey guys, what's up everybody? This is Warhawk Beyond 2040 bringing to you a brand new review series where we are going to be talking about Mighty Morphing Power Rangers, and we are joined by our good friend Chris.
Hey everyone.
Welcome.
This is me.
Yes, welcome Chris. So for this first episode of the review series, we're going to basically talk about how we first became aware of Power Rangers and how we first got into it. So, Chris, how did you first become aware of Mighty Morphing Power Rangers, and how did you get into the show?
I was about 4, I think, and a friend of mine just went crazy about it. He just told me, like, Chris, you gotta watch it, I was like, what? It's like, Power Rangers, man. I was like, at the time I was heavily into Winnie the Pooh, so Power Rangers was a revelation, put it that way.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was 4, man. Come on.
I can't remember how I first got into Power Rangers. I think the first time I became aware of Power Rangers was actually on Sky One. I don't think we had Fox Kids then. I think that was definitely the first time I became aware of it, was on Sky One. There it is right there, the old Sky One TV logo. I think from like 1995 or 4.
Wow.
But yeah, that was the first time I became aware of Power Rangers, was on Sky One, and then shortly after it was on Fox Kids. So when you first saw Power Rangers, what channel did you see it on? Was it on Fox Kids or was it on Sky One?
I think it was on GMTV. Mr. Motivator. That's all I remember. Like, Power Rangers.
Yeah, I think for me, I just saw it whenever I could, really. Like, I saw it on GMTV, or I'd see it on Fox Kids, or I would see it on anywhere, really. Anywhere, any channel that was going that showed Power Rangers, I would just watch it, really. And yeah, it was just awesome. Everyone in my school was just bloody crazy for Power Rangers. It was a great time to be a kid, and yeah, like you say, it was just an amazing show.
Definitely.
What was your first impression of the costumes?
I don't remember. I just thought they was fantastic. Like the action, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, I think when I saw the costumes, I remember they was very colourful.
Yeah.
I remember they were very colourful, and what I liked about Mighty Morphing Power Rangers, especially in the early episodes, it wasn't just the fact you just had one main guy and the other four would follow. Everyone had their own character. Everyone was different. Like you had Jason was obviously the leader. You had Billy who was the science geek, and Zach was like the cool guy. Trini was like the peaceful girl, and Kimberly was like the feisty girl. But I like that each character had their own personality. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely, man. I always remember I was a big fan of the Green Rangers.
Yeah, I definitely would say that when, I think you would agree as well, that when the Green Ranger came on board, that's when the show really took off. I think that's really when the show started to get very, very big. Another thing that was quite cool was I liked the fact that each Power Ranger had their own Zord.
Yeah.
That was quite cool. It's like everyone had their own animal sort of based Zord. I don't know why they were called the dinosaurs, because not all of them were dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's true.
Apart from the Red Ranger, that was the only one, and the Blue Ranger, and I think the Pink Ranger. But the other two weren't really dinosaurs, were they?
Type. I don't know. Maybe. I don't really know much about dinosaurs, but I know that Tommy's one definitely wasn't a dragon. That's more mythological.
Yeah, and the idea of that all the Zords combined into, what we see here is Megazord. That was really cool. I like that. And I think as a kid, I mean, what did you think? Did you thought it was computerized or?
Dude, when I first, up until recently, I always thought the Zords were just puppets. Those great big massive puppets.
Yeah, yeah.
But then when I saw Beyond the Scenes and someone had taken off the helmet, I'm like, oh my god, the Megazord's a dude. I'm like, that blew my mind, and I was in my 20s when I saw that. I'm like, come on, man, you should have known by now that was a dude in a costume.
Here's Dragonzord. This to me really, I always thought was it supposed to be like their Godzilla?
Yeah, kind of. It's like a Mecha Godzilla. Yeah.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, it does look kind of like their Mecha Godzilla. And remember when Dragonzord used to come out of the water and you used to see their eyes? I thought that is just clearly supposed to be Godzilla or Mecha Godzilla. But I actually like Dragonzord. Like you say, it was like a mythical creature. Like dragons have always been part of mythology.
Yeah.
For thousands of years, and to have a dragon, even though he didn't have any wings, but just to have a dragon-based type of Zord on Power Rangers was really, really cool. I'm not sure, but did the Dragon Zord ever blue fire? I know he used to shoot rockets. I know he used to shoot rockets.
Oh, at the fingertips,
at his fingertips, but he never blew fire.
No.
I remember he used to shoot a laser
but,
at his mouth.
Oh. Just
one episode. He used to shoot the laser out of his mouth.
Oh, okay.
It's quite cool that the Zords also joined with Dragon Zord.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that he uses the tail as kind of like a drill sort of things. Because I remember when Megazord, when Megazord used to defeat the monsters, he used to just use the power sword.
Yeah.
But with Dragon Zord, quite a bit brutal for a kids program, used to like drill a hole into their stomach or chest, and they just used to just split into two. So that was quite cool. And then sometimes they would even combine into Mega Dragon Zord. I don't know why. It's quite confusing that the Zords joined with Dragon Zord.
Yeah.
It was called Mega Dragon Zord in battle mode. But then they would call this in battle mode. I got a bit confused here. Didn't make any sense to me, but it was like you say, it just was mind blowing to see all these things. And when I used to see things like this, even especially Titanus, the Ultra Zord, I actually thought was very early CG.
Yeah,
I thought it was like very early CG. I had no idea until you told me that it was a guy dressed up. What would you say the Titanus was? Did you say that was? What would you say? A dude dressed up as well?
I don't know. I mean, I only saw a picture. I saw footage of someone wearing the Megazord costume. Because like I said, I always thought that was one of those massive puppets. You know, the ones with the ball, the strings and the board.
Yeah.
But the marionettes. That's what I thought that was.
I had no idea until you told me that it was actually guys dressed up. It was actually quite shocked me. Traumatised me as a child. That would have traumatised me if I learned that news. That it was just guys dressed up. I thought, what the hell? What was your first impression of Rita?
Wow.
Oh dear.
I don't really remember, but knowing me, I probably just thought she was a witch. She was like a witch.
I found Rita Repulsa to be a very generic villain.
Yeah.
Goldar was awesome. Goldar was clearly the best villain of that lot, but the rest of them were just it was very generic. They didn't really have much character to them. They were just a bunch of goons following the witch's orders. Goldar was clearly the strongest of the bunch. And another character that came on board in season 1 was Scorpina. My first impression of Scorpina, I think I remember telling you before, I actually thought she was a clone
of Trini.
Yeah. Because the actress who played Scorpina looked very, very much like the chick who played Trini. They had a very similar build, same sort of face, the same sort of hair. The fact that they wore very similar clothes was very confusing for me. What was your thoughts on Scorpina? What was your impression of her?
I don't know back then, but looking at the picture now, just in my mind, she just looks like Rita from the 2017 movie. Like, you know, the costume she wore, like gold and green.
Yeah.
That's what she looks like to me.
I know this is not what we're talking about, but since you mentioned the movie, we can talk about it a bit here.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that the Rita Repulsa character and design they went with in the 2017 movie, I know she was referred to herself as Rita, but could it be possible that she may have been based off Scorpina in some ways?
Oh, maybe. I mean, was it ever said in the show that Rita was the name of the character, not just the title?
It was always said that Rita was her name, Rita Repulsa.
Okay.
The most we learned about Scorpina, she was with Goldar, and they were two of Rita's best warriors. And Scorpina, they said when they introduced her in, I think was it Green with Evil, might have been part 4, I think. We'll have to go back and check that out, but I definitely remember it was Green with Evil. The most they said about Scorpina was she did some very terrible things, which they were not allowed to say because it was so bad, but they said that she was a very dangerous and skilled warrior, and that was her human form. It wasn't really how she really looked. Because I think if you remember in the show, when Rita used to make Scorpina big to join Goldar in the battles, you never see her as a human, do you?
No.
You always saw her as like an actual scorpion. She was like dark red with the scorpion tail, and she pretty much had the same body armor, but she just with a scorpion's head. So quite scary for for kids' programs. But yeah, I mean, I like Scorpina. I was a bit bummed out that she disappeared in season 2 without a word. I mean, she was there for half the first episode of season 2 when Lord Zed appeared, but then she just disappeared after, and she never showed up again. I think she reappeared maybe, I'm guessing it might have been season 2, very late season 2, but it wasn't the same actress. I don't think it was the same actress, and they didn't really acknowledge the history of their history they had with her.
I honestly haven't. I need to rewatch the whole Power Rangers at some point, so it's been a while.
Yeah, but yes, I remember she was a fun character. She was a good villain, but yeah, as I said, she just disappeared without a word by the time season 2 hit. Another character that was a constant in the show was Zordon.
Woo!
Yeah, man. The Zor to Zidon. Now, Zordon, how would you describe him, his role in the show? What was your impression of him? when you first saw Zordon?
Um,
Because this is a character he never really. He's such an interesting character, but he never gets talked about enough. So we're going to go out here and just go Zordon crazy. So I'll put this to you. What was your thoughts on Zordon when you first saw him?
I- it's been a long time. I don't really remember, but my thoughts now, I think if I had to say anything, he's more like a kind of a grandfather type.
Yeah.
Especially when you watch him in the '95 movie they did for the cinema.
Yeah, I thought I thought the way they built him up in the movie, which something they didn't really touch upon in the show, they did, but they didn't really take it further. Like you said in the movie, they really built him up as this grandfather / father type of figure. I mean, they always did say that in the show, but yeah, I definitely agree. He was definitely like the grandfather / father figure. One thing we never got to see in the TV show, we never really got to see his origin.
No.
We saw little flashbacks, but of a guy fighting in battle, but we never really saw his face as such, did we?
Well, in Super Sentai, they had like a whole different arc. Like he was based off of a character that went to do battle with Rita.
Oh, right.
But we never saw him. Yeah. Well, you never saw that footage in Power Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they had done an episode, maybe even just a few seconds. I would have liked to have seen Zordon in human form.
I think we did. No. Well, I mean, in Super Sentai, he was like, his human form was a caretaker of
What?
everything. Yeah, because there was
Oh my god.
a little old Japanese man. That's all I've only seen bits and bobs on YouTube, but
So the
Yeah.
great all-powerful Zordon
mm,
gives Power Rangers past and present their powers and Zords and weapons, and he's a caretaker.
and then in the last episode, I think they all go back to the original time that they was meant to come from. Because in our version, they're all teenagers, but
Yeah.
back in the day, they was all like descendants from princesses and princes and stuff. And they had to all go back in time to storage or state. I don't really know the original source material, but I think it ends with everyone getting dinosaurs.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
dinosaurs are wished back onto Earth somehow.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Do you know what? After you just said that, I'm not sure I can look at Zordon now. Now you said that in another version, he's a caretaker.
I know. We'll watch some footage later because it was really weird. He does have human form. I don't think the tube's ever actually in the original source material. I think that's just what we had. But
When I first saw Zordon, which was the first episode, I thought at first Zordon was like some sort of ghost. It was like a spirit.
I can see
Kind of
that.
similar to like Gaia in Captain Planet. Because that would have been
Yeah.
around that time. It would have been out around that time because Gaia in Captain Planet, she was like a ghost / spirit.
Right.
And she would only just appear sometimes. But when I saw Zordon, he was in the tube, I thought, okay, so he's clearly hasn't got a body. He's some sort of disembodied spirit. Not to the degree like Jor-El was in Superman, so he could still communicate. He wasn't just some robotic AI intelligence. So I thought, okay, you've got a guy, he's in this tube sort of thing, so he's kind of like a spirit. And I thought maybe some sort of ghost or spirit, but he's able to communicate from beyond the grave. That's what I thought at the time, and he didn't do much. It's kind of funny for a guy who's in a tube. He played a big part in this show for a guy who's just a tube.
I'm surprised. I mean, like, the only time I see a man in the tube is the Pringles dude, so
Once you pop, you can't stop.
I want to see Zordon as a can of Pringles now.
Probably somewhere in another Earth, he is a pipe of Pringles.
Oh, dude, how did they not do that for merchandise when the movie came out?
Oh
Zordon
my
Pringles.
god.
That would have been cool.
Missed opportunity right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, golden opportunity missed there. What's wrong with you, Saban? You dropped the ball on that one. Big time. But yeah, Zordon was a big part of the show. I mean, as we said, that for a guy who was just a tube, he was a big part of the show. Big impact he made for the stories. I think, I'm not sure if you'd agree or not, I think Power Rangers, story-wise, would have still done well anyway, but I don't think it would have been as emotionally invested if we didn't have someone like Zordon.
Yeah.
Because it would have just been another superhero type of show. 5 or 6 guys beating up the bad guys. The end. Zordon, from a story point of view, he established the importance of what being a hero was all about. And I like the idea that whenever Rita would unleash a monster, the Power Rangers would say, well, what the hell is that? And Zordon would give a little backstory. He goes, oh, yes, I remember him. We fought a long time ago. He's very dangerous. He goes, oh, did you manage to defeat him? He goes, no, I was unable to defeat him. Sorry, Rangers. I said, so even though that he knew everything, he wasn't like, how do I put it? He wasn't a guy who knew everything no matter what. Even he wasn't always right. He goes, well, I did fight him, but I couldn't defeat him. He goes, oh, do you know how to defeat him? No, sorry. So they added a bit of believable thing to it. So it wasn't just like he's this super intelligent dude, a tube, knows everything. He had his limits. So I thought that was quite. Yeah. I thought that was quite cool. One thing we never got to see, as I said, it's been a while. I know I did rewatch it, but sometimes I do forget stuff. There was never a scene where Zordon and Rita had a scene together.
No?
No, I don't think there was. I remember Lord Zed showed up in the command centre a couple of times with his big throne, and him and Zordon had words, but never Rita and him.
A shame.
Even though they always spoke of each other all the time, they never interacted. Shame, really. Would have liked to have seen that. Would have been quite interesting, especially they're supposed to have this 1,000-year-plus history with each other.
Yeah.
And it could have been cool if Rita was the one who said, oh yes, the last time we met, I put you in that test tube or something. Some sort of line like that. That would have been funny. And said, as long as I've got the answer or something, you'll never get out of there. You're trapped there forever. But no, they never interacted. That sucks, really. Would have liked to have seen that. But yeah, definitely, Zordon was a very important part of Power Rangers, especially later on in the movie. But yeah, he was a really cool character. I liked him a lot, and I think a lot of the success of the show was down to him as well.
Did you hear the conspiracy? Not the fan conspiracy that he was actually the guy who served the juice as well, like keeping an eye on them in human mode.
Really?
Is it Ernie?
Oh, the juice guy?
Yeah.
The guy who works in the juice bar?
Apparently that was also Zordon's consciousness put into a human body. But they didn't know that. They were just like...
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's just a conspiracy... a fan-made thing. Someone put on there.
Now that you mention it, it kind of makes sense in a way, because whenever he would watch the news and say, like, I don't know, say for example... He's watching they're all watching with them the news. Goldar's terrorising the city.
Yeah.
And then the Power Rangers, they would run off. The Power Rangers would run off to go and stop it. Ernie never said a word. He never asked, "So hang on a minute, where are you guys going? I still need help at the juice bar."
Oh.
So it's possible. It's not far off. I know it's only a fan theory, but there is some element in truth. It's almost like Ernie. He could be Zordon, as you say. It's almost like Ernie knows that they're the Power Rangers, but he just doesn't say anything about it out of respect.
It's really, in that universe, how can you not know that? And wear the colours on their shirts.
I know.
Like Red Ranger's wearing, red shirt, even though he's just chilling out. I'm like, come on, man.
And even like the Pink Ranger, when she's doing her gymnastics, she's wearing like pink leggings,
yeah.
which is not far off from what the suit is. It's pink leggings, but they just add a little leotard piece to it. And even like
Billy was his blue dungarees. I'm like, come on, man.
Oh, come on. And even though it's the dead giveaway, I mean, we will talk about it in a future video, but just wanted to point one small thing. how could you not know who the Green Ranger was? The dude's been cold. We'll get to that in a minute, but we'll just... the dude's wearing green. He's acting weird.
Green headband as well.
Green headband, yes. Very cold attitude. Doesn't talk to you guys, just very dismissive of all of you. Come on. But yeah, man. But yeah, Zordon as Ernie, it was an interesting theory. It was a very, very interesting theory. It's got me thinking now. But yeah, man, Zordon definitely a big part of the Power Rangers' success and a big part of the storytelling. And I don't think we would have cared about the episodes half as much if we didn't have a guy like Zordon towing along the line. So yeah, I think having someone like him helping out made a big difference in the show. So yeah, mega props to Zordon. He gave us a reason to care about the show. So yeah, man, all good. So what was your thoughts on the monsters of the show? What was your thoughts on them? Was there any favourite monsters you had in the original Power Rangers?
Definitely Eye Guy.
Yeah.
But then I know the one you like, we both like, King Sphinx.
Oh yeah. King Sphinx, it's quite funny. We've talked about this guy quite a lot. King Sphinx, here's the thing with King Sphinx, he only appeared in one episode, but yet he was really popular because I always used to see his picture in tie-in comics, annuals, t-shirts, games. I mean, puzzles. Yeah, that's it. Puzzles.
So I remember from boxes of puzzles.
Yeah, I remember there was like. I definitely remember there was. I remember there used to be like a big figure of King Sphinx, and I remember I think he used to touch either his belly or his back, and his wings used to start flapping, and they were really cool. And yeah, King Sphinx was a really good villain. Shame they didn't use more of him.
Yeah. I always wanted to see like a monster version of the Green Ranger, like a monster wearing his kind of power coin somehow.
I think in the comics, I'm not sure which one it is. I'm not sure if it's Mighty Morphing or Go-Go Power Rangers, but I think Goldar actually is using the power coin for himself.
Oh, cool.
I think that might be in Mighty Morphing. I'll have to check that, but yes, King Sphinx was awesome villain. I think we can all safely say the worst villain of Power Rangers.
Pudgy Pig.
Yeah. Pudgy Pig. Do you know what's funny about Pudgy Pig? He was such a terrible villain, but everybody remembers him.
I remember him from the toys because you used to be able to feed him pizzas.
Oh my!
I think like your cardboard pizzas.
Oh god!
Yeah.
I remember. I don't know if you remember this, but I saw a toy of Pudgy Pig. He had the pizzas.
Yeah.
But he had a garbage can.
Oh, okay. Maybe.
I think he had a garbage. He had like a little silver garbage can with bits of food and vegetables.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
don't, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, Pudgy Pig. It's so funny, as we said already, that out of all of the cool villains we've had in the original run, everybody remembers Pudgy Pig. It just makes me laugh.
Where he explodes. I always remember that.
Yeah, I remember how they defeated him. They took all of Ernie's food from the juice bar, put it on like this massive plate, foldable plate, and they said, if you like food so much, here you can have all of this. And he was like, yeah, food, more food for me. Oh. And I think I remember Jason and Zach sneaked in like special hot chilies, and I think Ernie said that these chilies you can't eat because they're too hot. I think he classed them as that they were too dangerous to eat, that you couldn't eat it on its own. And
like ghost peppers.
Yeah, it was like ghost peppers, and they stuck it in this giant. That's it. I remember now. It was like stuck in this giant baguette. It was
Yeah, shit, I remember.
yeah, that's
I remember
it. It was
that
a
now,
giant.
yeah.
It was a giant. It was a giant baguette.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know how long it must have been. It must have been like a foot long or more. And he just gobbled it all up. And they just stood there and said, right, any minute now. And then he just started burping, and all gas and yellow gas started coming out, and powder. And there was a bit of smoke as well. I think I remember there was a little bit of smoke. It was really over the top.
Hated that. I never liked gross anything like that as a kid.
The thing with when you do gross stuff, it's okay if it's done in moderation.
Yeah.
But I don't like it when it starts going a bit over the top to the point it's like disgusting.
No.
I mean, luckily for the show, it wasn't terribly disgusting. But at the same time, yeah, as you say, at the time when you see stuff coming out of someone's mouth, like, you know, it's very cringy stuff. And yeah, I just didn't like that at all. And you know what made it even worse? They bring Pudgy Pig back.
Alright. Oh yeah, he's one of the Zed's.
I think they just one of the Zed's minions. They didn't do much any different with him, because usually when they bring one of Rita's monsters back through Zed, they upgrade it a little bit. They didn't do much to it. He was exactly the same as he was. But yeah,
But they didn't change him up at all. Like for like the toy, I can always imagine that, you know, different toys, different versions.
no, I don't think they did. No, but
Ah.
yeah, I think we can all say it's safe to say that Pudgy Pig was the worst villain. Eye Guy was definitely one of the best.
Yeah.
King Sphinx was probably my favourite. Trying to remember, was it some of these other monsters here? They were more Zed's monsters, but they were quite cool. But I don't really remember a lot of them. I remember Grumblebee.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was quite cool. And what was Grumblebee's ability? Do you remember?
Well, the toy, I remember you press the button and these little stingers used to come out of the mouth, like little red plastic things.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember he used to do like this buzzing sound, but on a much higher frequency.
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch that episode again, but yeah, he used to use sound vibrations with the buzzing, but much higher and stronger. And yeah, I remember, like you said, he used to use those spiky stingers. Yeah, he was quite a decent villain. They brought him back, Grumblebee, in season 2. I remember they brought him back in season 2 a couple of times. I think they used him once in season 1, and I think they used him like twice in season 2. I think season 2 he came back as a hallucination.
Oh.
He came back as a hallucination, and I think they actually brought him back again as a proper villain. I think they might have done something a bit different with him. But yeah, most of the monsters they used on the show were quite decent, apart from the one we just mentioned, which, yeah. But yeah, other than that, as you say, most of them were pretty good. And as great as the monsters were, nothing could be as cool as this dude here.
Yeah, yes.
The Green Ranger. Now, this for me, I know we talked about this earlier at the beginning of this, but for me, when the Green Ranger came into the show, this was the moment where the show went from being a very silly, maybe not silly, but a very generic superhero show into something very, very serious, because the idea of having a Power Ranger who's evil fighting against them was a really cool thing. What was your impression of the Green Ranger when he first came into the show?
I loved him from the start. How can you not? The design alone is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he had a very unique look, because he didn't just look like the Power Rangers. Like, he didn't have the same sort of costume as them. He had like the gold body armor, the gold cuffs and armbands. He had a very cool look. I remember when I saw the Green Ranger, my first impression was Power Rangers are going to get screwed. They are so screwed, because he was evil, and what I liked about him was the laugh. That laugh of the Green Ranger has become so iconic now, and it was like it's the funny thing when you look at his voice, when you listen to his voice when he's a bad guy, and then when you listen to his voice as a good guy, they don't sound the same, do they? They sound like two completely different guys. And I remember that first part, Green with Evil. We are going to do a future review on that episode at some point in the near future. But I remember in his first appearance in part 1 of Green with Evil, I've never seen someone fight a whole team by himself and win.
Yeah.
He just like manhandled all of them. Do you remember that shot where he had, I think he had like his legs wrapped around the Yellow Ranger's neck.
Wow.
And he had like
scissoring.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he had like 2 of the other Rangers in headlocks, and just he just I can't exactly remember. You have to really see it to know what I'm talking about, but it was just crazy. He just like flipped 3 Rangers over his head at the same time. It's just crazy.
Were they fighting that like a playground type thing?
No, it was more like no, we're in the playground sort of type. It was more like in the woods,
right?
But there was a bit of stairs.
Oh, okay.
It might have been in a park somewhere, but it wasn't like your traditional park. It was more like a bit further out from where Angel Grove was.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I remember seeing JDF. Wow, looking so young. He was quite skinny as well, wasn't he? He had like really long hair, and he was quite skinny. But I remember Green with Evil lasted for like 5 parts.
Yeah, I think I had the tape to it. Yeah,
I never had the tape of it.
that was good.
Yeah, I never had the tape of it. It was like a 5-part story arc, and yeah, he gave the Power Rangers a real hard time, especially Jason. And one of the things I liked about the Green with Evil story arc was I liked how Jason was so obsessed with not just defeating the Green Ranger, but he was so obsessed with finding out who he was. That I liked that in Jason's character. Like, he's like, man, who is this guy? How can he be a Power Ranger and be evil? You know, that was quite cool. Because do you think that the other Rangers weren't that bothered about who the Green Ranger was?
It's been a while since I've seen it, to be honest, but probably, yeah.
Because I remember they weren't really that bothered. Oh, Jason, don't worry about him, we'll catch him. And Jason's like, no, you don't get it, you know. Why is he evil? Why is he working for Rita? You know, and one of the scariest moments in Green with Evil was Jason was teleported to that dark dimension.
Oh, yeah.
Goldar was there. Jason had no powers. I think Goldar had his morpher. He said, oh, if you're looking for this, come and get it. And Jason was helpless, and he had no powers. And I remember like Jason's like laying on his back, and you see like Goldar's waving his sword. So, do you know, if I was in charge, I could have ended this very quickly, but for some reason Rita wants to keep you alive. And I remember seeing that scene. I thought, are we actually going to see Jason get stabbed on this show? And I remember Jason was like laying there looking so scared, and I remember watching it. I thought, oh my god, this guy could actually get stabbed, because he had this big long ass sword just waving it across his face. And then what's his name, the Green Ranger, Tommy, showed up, and then they had a big fight. And yeah, it was good. You see, it was good because it turned the show around. Because did you think before the Green Ranger came along, the show was pretty same formula, like fight the bad guy, defeat the bad guy, repeat? There was no real challenge, was there?
I didn't think I even saw that as a thing. It's just when that came out, I was 4 or 5. I just saw it as magical.
He just came out of his Winnie the Pooh days.
Definitely.
he just upgraded from Winnie the Pooh to Power Rangers. Yeah, I mean, I thought that as well, like you, but I always remembered watching it that the Power Rangers never really had a serious challenge. So I think when you bring the Green Ranger, or a evil Power Ranger for that matter, into the show, it really presented a serious challenge. And do you remember when Rita made the Green Ranger big?
I don't, but that's awesome.
Yeah,
I like
he
the
made him
idea of
big.
that.
He made him big. She made him big, and he had like a three on one attack. He was like Goldar, Scorpina, and the Green Ranger fighting Megazord with the whole sunlight eclipsed. It was just dark. And I remember like Megazord just got absolutely trashed.
Yeah.
And they had like a triple combined power and just blasted Megazord.
They should have gone dark with that. Like, say, like he had some kind of weird organ failure after coming back to being normal size. Because being enlarged, all your organs would just be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
And
when
coming back to normal.
I mean when the Green Ranger eventually turned good,
yeah,
and he joined them, you know, like you said, there was no after effects of him being evil. It's like, you know, as you say, if you're grown that big, it must do something to your insides.
definitely.
Never really went down that route. Never really delved into that. And another thing as well, it's almost like Tommy forgot all about his evil past. It's like he doesn't remember all the bad things he did. I mean, I know he was brainwashed, but you would have thought he would remember at least some bad things. But they never really talked about it much. I know they do delve into it more into the comic books.
Yeah.
They go really in depth with the comics. Should really check it out, guys. The early issues of the Boom Studios Power Rangers. There's some really cool stuff, and they really get into some good stuff about what happened in the aftermath. But what was your impression of the Green Ranger joining the team?
Yeah, eventually, quite cool. I liked it more when he became the White Ranger. Makes more sense.
Yeah, that was good. But I'd probably say that I think Power Rangers would have been successful regardless. Yeah. But I think when you added the Sixth Ranger, the Green Ranger, and then eventually, as we all know, he became the White Ranger in season 2. But I think when they added the Sixth Ranger, it made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I think the show got not only bigger, but I thought it got much better. But yeah, Green Ranger was definitely my favourite character, and some of the best episodes of season 1 and later on in season 2 were with the Green Ranger.
Yeah. And
the way he lost his powers the first time round with the green candle was quite an interesting way, because it's not like Rita just drained him of his powers and then he's normal. He had like the candle burned it out, so that was quite good. And I think the second time he lost his powers for good, he just got it drained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's definitely in the top 3 of my favourite 6 Rangers. Sixth, right? Like, you got Gold Ranger, Green Ranger, and Quantum Ranger from Time Force.
My top 3 sixth Rangers: number 1 Green Ranger, number 2 Gold Ranger, and number 3 White Ranger.
But it's technically the same dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know it's still same dude, bar the Gold Ranger.
See, yeah.
But in terms of like the overall colouring and the costume and the way the character was portrayed, they were definitely my top 3 favourites of Power Rangers and Zeo. But yeah, man, I liked it. I loved Green Ranger a lot, and still to this day, no matter who you speak to, when you say Power Rangers, the first thing they talk about, not Pudgy Pig, but when they talk about Power Rangers, the first thing they talk about is Green Ranger. They say, "Oh yeah, I remember when the Green Ranger, he was a bad guy and he roughed them up. Yeah. Oh, those were the days, you know." And they were. They really were. And I don't think. I mean, maybe other shows might have done this, but did they do Evil Rangers in other shows? I don't think they did they?
They had the Psycho Rangers, and I think Power Rangers Lost in Space, or Power Rangers in Space, but I gave up by that point.
Yeah, I think Turbo might have been Shadow Ranger.
Oh, okay.
It might have been a Shadow Ranger. I'm not too sure, but I don't think after this they did any more with Evil Rangers.
I think they did like a backup. What's it? The Alpha Team, or in one of the Power Rangers, which they was kind of like the arseholes. And the Power Rangers we knew in that one series were like back up because they somehow got something happened to him. I'm not sure the original team, but
Yeah, I'm not really too sure either. But yeah, if they didn't do any more, then Green Ranger was a one-off, and if that is the case, then what a one-off it was, and it remains to this day probably the greatest Power Ranger story arc they ever did with the Green Ranger.
definitely. But there's another thing. If he's the byproduct of evil, how comes in all the other stuff like Zero? There's a Green Zero Ranger, and he's part of the team, and there's no negative version. It's not negative in any way.
Oh, because the green power came from evil originally, didn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not saying, but in all the other teams, there's a Green Ranger, and he's just naturally part of the team.
Yeah, they never really explained that, did they?
Because in Time Force, it's Green Time Force Ranger.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know all the other different Power Rangers, but I do know.
I think as different shows and versions came out, there wasn't really much in the way of the Green Ranger colour. They slowly started phasing it out, and they went more with like the classic colours like black, yellow, red and pink.
Yeah.
But yeah, you didn't really see the green much. I think after Lightspeed Rescue, I think they stopped using the green colour. I mean, there might be more out there, but I'm just going by what I remember. Slowly along, they started phasing out the green colour.
The new Beast, is it Beast? No, Beast Morphers. That's meant to be really good because they're bringing back Jason.
Oh, okay.
So,
alright, that should be quite interesting. And that's pretty much how we first became fans of Power Rangers, really. And I still say to this day, and you'll probably agree with this, that when it comes to Power Rangers, nothing will ever beat the original.
No, definitely.
No, it was a great time to be a fan. It was a great childhood as well, and it was very groundbreaking. There had never been anything like Power Rangers, and you can clearly see that when you look at the recent shows. They don't quite come as close to what we saw growing up. So
just the costumes alone, just so iconic.
Oh yeah, definitely, and the music as well.
Oh yeah,
it's like, even if people who've never watched the show or they've heard about it, when you say Power Rangers, goes, oh yeah, I remember them, and they were a big part of the 90s childhood for everyone.
Yeah,
they were a big part of the success of Fox Kids, big part of the success of Sky One. GMTV when it used to come on.
Mr. Motivator.
Oh,
he's so cool.
Yeah. It was a great time. It was a crazy time. I mean...
Crazy cats.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. Everybody in school loved Power Rangers.
Do you remember the thing with the balloon? They did?
Power Rangers balloons?
No, not balloons, but they did an episode where a hot air balloon. That's all I remember.
No, I don't think I remember that one.
Oh.
Might have to go back and check. I don't remember that episode. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what period you could call that with the original Power Rangers. Power Rangers Mania or something. I don't know, really.
I don't know. I remember. I think it might have been the episode where they were doing the little dance. On the phone git. Yeah, because that was in an episode. I'm sure it was.
I remember. I remember there was an episode where it was in the fun fair.
It might have been.
No clowning around.
Who was the rank? Was Tommy green or white?
No, he wasn't in the show yet.
Oh, okay.
He didn't come into the show yet. No, he wasn't. He didn't come till later. But it was in season 1. It was a guy who looked a bit creepy. He looked like something out of The Wizard of Oz. And he turned... What did he do? He kidnapped Trini's niece. He threw a bucket of... This is so stupid. It sounds stupid when you say it to someone, but when you see it, it's okay, but it sounds silly. He would throw a bucket of water on someone, and they would turn into a cardboard cutout.
That's brilliant. I don't remember that one at all.
No. You have to really see it to know what I'm talking about. But
yeah.
There was an episode. They went to the fun fair, and it's with Trini's niece or cousin, I think. Might have been her niece actually.
Okay.
To mention it, a little niece. I think she might have been about 7 or 8 years old. She was a bit rude, bit of a girly girl. Goes, no, I'm going to do what I want. Why should I listen to you, Aunt Trini, or something like that? And he had like this creepy guy working in the fairground. As I said, he looked like something like Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, God, this is going to sound so stupid, but as I said, it sounds stupid when you tell it to someone, but when you see it, it's not as bad. They threw buckets of his water on him. He melted. He didn't really melt. Well, he did say he was melting, but he goes, I'm melting! And his clothes, he just turned into a pile of empty clothes, and he'd reveal his true form. I can't remember what his true form was. And, it was called No Clowning Around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was one of the early episodes of Power Rangers. And I think... How did they restore Trini's niece? I think she might have been a niece, but I'll have to go back to the episode and check it out. I think I remembered Alpha used clean water or something, or sprinkled something. I don't know. They did something, so they sprayed something on her or something like that, and she just popped right back up, like she just woke up out of bed. But it had its silly moments, but by and large, Power Rangers was an awesome show. And we are going to wrap this up now. The next time my good pal and I will be back, we are going to talk about some of our favourite episodes from the show. Might be a while because some of us may not remember those classic episodes. So when we get our memories back and rewatch those episodes, we'll try and get a review episode out there. So with that all said, we are going to leave this here for you guys. You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your lovely thoughts and comments down below, and let us know, how did you first become aware of Power Rangers? How did you first hear about the show? So till then, we will see you next time. Chris?
See ya, pals.
Yes, Chris, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, and we will see you on the other side.